Thank you very much. It's an extraordinary pleasure to open this first ever TEDx conference here at the Royal Holloway. Wonderful institution. And in a sense, it's an extra pleasure for me because not only am I in this institution, but it's a great day for me. Today, myself, along with other people you'll be hearing from, will be trying to contribute to the breeze of fresh, deep, critical discussion to inspire tomorrow's leaders. So today is an important day for the future, both here at Royal Holloway and perhaps wider around. But I'm going to start by going back to the past, by going back to about 500 BC, over 2,000 years ago. In a sense, I'm talking about one particular place, a place called ancient Ephesus, in what is now regarded as modern Turkey. And one man, one Greek philosopher, by the name of Heraclitus, and six words that he uttered. There was nothing permanent except change. And even though those were articulated over 2,000 years ago, I still think they have some relation to you and I today and the way that we live our lives. There was nothing permanent except change. We live in a world of unprecedented dynamism. As we sit in our seats today, we're hurtling around the cosmos at more than 67,000 miles an hour. But no speedometer could compute the speed of technological innovation, nor the speed of our human development. I think the texture of our lives has continuously been dissolving and recomposing every day. We view life in 3 dimensions, and yet we experience that 4th dimension all the time. Change, that dynamism, which is a central facet to our human experience. So change is part of our lives, but it's also the way that we understand our lives. It gives meaning to the world. As a geographer, as a member of the Royal Geographical Society and other kind of institutions that focus on geography, I'm continuously asked, what's the nature of the discipline? What does geography really mean? And I don't think we can actually attribute a definition to its study, because just as the Earth changes day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, so does the discipline of geography. So change is not just about how we experience the world, change is the way that we understand our human existence. And in a sense, in the last 15 years, we've gone through a wave of great transfiguration, great change. We're not living in a world of stasis. From the Stone Age to the Bronze Age, Iron Age to the medieval period, and the last particularly 15, 20 years, we are witnessing an inexorable rate of change. The digital revolution in the last couple of decades, I think, has transfigured our own lives. We interconnect distant others closer together. We break down, we erode those Euclidean dimensions of distance. We bring people from one side of the world and allow them to do business with the other. We interconnect. And I think that is one of the main changes of our generation. It changes the way that we make the world better, make the world a smaller place perhaps, a more close-knitted place. And down the other end of the academic corridor in geography, both here at the department in Royal Holloway and other departments afield, there's another kind of change taking place, another kind of quandary that's being studied, another contemporary crisis to be battled, that of global warming. And shadowing the positivity of all of that interconnection, shadowing the positivity of our technological innovation, I think the tentacles of global warming encroach part of what it means to be human in the 21st century. We have planes, we can travel wherever we want, but we leave a carbon footprint. We have phones, which almost seem to be part of our own anatomy nowadays. Shamefully, it's never one out of my hand. But they deplete our natural resources. We have, in a sense, a dichotomy. I think in some ways what we've got is global interconnection and global warming, both battling aside each other. Global interconnection, the way that we try to make that utopian world, but falling short of the nature of mother existence, the dichotomy between warming and interconnection. In geography, I think the interconnection, the warming discourses are atomized too much. I think an effective catalyst for change will be the way that we can solder two discourses together. Those human geography aspects such as interconnection, globalization, capitalism, and also the warming, global warming, climate change, the way that this planet is physically changing. So soldering these two discourses would be my effective catalyst for change. After all, the conventional ways don't seem to be working. I mean, the small-scale approaches, the catalysts that we put in place in our daily lives, especially here at the Royal Holloway, we have a carbon management plan, we have insulation, we have a car sharing going on. We've got all these different ways of tackling global warming, of hindering the warming of the world. We're using technology because of it and for it. But I think particularly those don't seem to be working. And Paul Stern from the National Research Council said that these small-scale approaches, these small-scale grassroots approaches, are in some ways environmentally insignificant because they're not done in the aggregate. So my question is, if they are so small-scale, if they're so easy, we can all car share and use energy-saving light bulbs, why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? And Paul Stern goes on in his paper to talk about the fact that, in some ways, the human desire comes first. That we put things in front of environment. Mobility, wealth, comfort, enjoyment. Those kind of attributes, almost rights of our lives, they seem to take precedence over the environment, over the natural world, over this planet Earth, over our own home. I'd go further. I'd say that we've disconnected from the landscape. In a world of interconnection, in a world of technological innovation, we've lost some of the values we once upheld for nature. I think living in this cyber-fueled virtual reality, we've disconnected from the landscape and we've connected to the Wi-Fi instead. Landscape, one of the key questions, ideas in geography. Geography, landscape, Mother Nature, the environment. You know, it once used to inspire awe and wonder in us. Now it's exasperating. We can never find the network signal. We can never get that signal in the countryside. We can get it in the city. We just can't get it in the middle of the fields. The landscape, it once was encapsulated in painting and poem, is now relegated to the background of a selfie. As the public domain get access to satellite maps, access to satellite navigation systems, the concepts of true wilderness, true exploration, seem to be a questionable notion. Aldo Leopold, the influential ecologist Aldo Leopold, once said that we view the Earth as belonging to us, something that's ours, not something that we belong to. I think tackling our connectedness to nature is the first step in mitigating change. In some ways, these kind of abstract points aren't taken seriously. They're too, what's quite often being called fluffy or soft. We're not taking them seriously because they don't seem to work. I don't think the public has a moral obligation to protect their own planet unless they feel a sense of kinship with it. They have no obligation to car share or to use energy-saving light bulbs unless they feel a sense of belonging to the planet, unless they feel that their own welfare is related to the welfare of this planet. Our connectedness to nature is essential. Now, this is not a call to demolish the platforms of interconnection. I think the internet culture, particularly the internet culture, is one of the ways that we deliver the messages of today. What I'm asking for, what I'm calling for, is in a sense, a paradigmatic shift in the way that we increase our own well-being in the planet. We reignite the zeal for exploration. We reignite the zest for discovery. We make the world a more compelling place. Health experts have said that being outside the natural environment will increase our own well-being, our own enjoyment of our own existence. So perhaps one of the things we should be doing is going outside, just literally walking outside our houses and going outside into the fresh air. Something small scale, grassroots, but an effective catalyst for change. I think it's that reignition of the zeal that's important. We've got to get people, especially young people, compelled by geography, compelled by the natural world. Not necessarily the subject, but compelled by their own planet. I mean, we only have one. I think that would be an effective catalyst for change. In some senses, I think what we've done is we've let young people get entangled within a net of virtual reality, a net of cyber-fueled virtual reality. And in some senses, I think we need to take them out of that net and foster a real connection with nature. But is this achievable? Can such a profound shift in the way we approach global warming or approach the world truly be that effective catalyst? Can we truly inspire change in the world? I think in some ways it needs more research. In some ways it needs to be taken further, but not just within the academic discipline. I think these kind of issues start with the individual. They don't start with government. They don't start with researchers going around a table and discussing how we're going to get people connected to nature. I think they start with just you and I, the public. You as an individual. Change, yes, affects all of us, but change has to be actioned, executed with the individual. So when we go out after today, or through the lunch break, or the next time we take our holiday, we should feel more connected with that landscape. Because this is our only world. There's no place to escape to. In the words of Henry Thoreau, and I think particularly my philosophy on the world, this curious world we inhabit is more wonderful than convenient. It's more beautiful than useful. More to be admired and enjoyed rather than used. Perhaps it's time we stop living on the world and start living with it. Thank you.